Okay, Dan, you got all the audio queued up?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, what we're doing is we're transitioning to the what I call podcast commentary section, and these are audio snippets that have been submitted by you guys, the fans, and you have filled out our Google form, which there will be a link in the description and below this YouTube video. And in that Google form, you submit like an episode number along with the timestamp, along with what specifically you want to know more about. And so what we've been doing is we've been listening to these little audio cues, and we talk about them with everybody, and they're all great fun. And so if you, like I said, if you want to submit one, you need to include all three of those things: the episode number, the timestamp, and what you want to talk about, or what you want us to talk about, or what you want to know more about. Because if you just say like this episode, the whole thing, because I think it's funny, which has happened way too many times, I'm not going to play it because we're not going to sit here and listen to an hour-long episode. That's bonkers. So just a short
Let,
little
let's
thing that
let's be honest. All of those submissions are just Detective Sherwood.
there's a lot of those, but I think the batch we have today, mwah, chef's kiss, primo stuff. So let's start with clip number one there, Dan.
All right.
Greg, as soon as the smaller figure emerges into the light from the steel grate up above on the other side of the ship, you can tell that this is indeed a dwarf that you kind of recognize.
From the Chronicum?
No. The only exception to the fact that it's a dwarf is it is larger than you, which is not common necessarily.
Yeah.
And their skin is a kind of a purplish hue. But it is a dwarf with long braided hair in the back.
I recognize him?
You recognize her.
Amelia?
She does not respond.
Oh, gosh.
So, this was a little bit of a throwback for me. I did not remember Amelia all that much.
Smith.
Oh.
Yeah, the blacksmith, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
She made my super cool hammer that is
He tucks
kind of
his beard.
irrelevant.
he tucks the beer.
He untucks his beard.
The
That's a great cut, man.
So Amelia was the blacksmith who made your detachable like long hammer thing with what like the top was throwing hammers.
You screw it on.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. But in that scene, which is right shortly after you guys got back from the Chronicum, you guys meet Melvin, the wizard, and Amelia, who have both been turned into these zombified creatures of themselves. And that question was submitted from Connolly, by the way. So thanks, Connolly, for that. And so really, what Connolly asks is whatever happened to Amelia, because I think what happened is we never actually went into full detail with that, because if I'm not mistaken, I didn't, because the episode ends right when the cannons fire at Dragus. And then I didn't listen to the next one when I was going through these submissions. So what I remember is Sherwood turns into a shark, grabs one, and like takes it all the way to the bottom of the bay. But I don't exactly remember what happened to Amelia. I'm going to assume she died.
Yeah, I thought
Right?
we killed her.
Probably.
I would be surprised if we didn't.
That man, she was Greg's future, man. That was they were gonna, in the prologue, rather than coming back as a big old warrior guy who's leading armies, he's gonna be a family man. But
Wouldn't that be an epilogue?
yeah, that's what I meant. Epilogue.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. So yeah, like I said, I don't remember much about Amelia because when I think back to those episodes, I think of the first time Ophelia was revealed, which was right after that. Like literally that very next episode, Ophelia talks to Brenna, and we learn more about who Sylvana is, and it's also the first time that Brenna used the amulet in a way that wasn't like stupid. And
Then we have that really deep conversation in front of the fire.
Yeah, because the ship sinks, Dragus dies, you all swim to shore, and you all just yell at each other for like 20 minutes, and it's incredible. And I still get like emotional goosebumps thinking about it because of just how cool it was for me. And so that, like, when I think of that series, that's where my mind goes. But I'm going to assume non-canonical. Who knows? Amelia's dead. That's just what I'll say.
She gone.
Sorry.
Amelia.
We hardly knew ye. So that thank you, Connolly, for that submission. always appreciate a good throwback like that, because what I've also understood too in doing this is there's so much of our show that is kind of just forgotten in my brain. Like I have all these big key moments, and of course I remember what it was like to record those episodes, like how it felt at the table. But the specifics of the content, I'm always super fuzzy on. Like I can tell you what funny thing happened at the table or in between recordings, but in terms of like what exactly happened to Amelia, I have no idea. I mean, I probably should know, but I don't. Uh, so thank you for that, Connolly. This next one is from Applesaurus Rex, and we'll fire up submission number 2 there, Dan.
All right.
I grabbed the other maraca, I set the drums down, and I just started going to town, shaking them. Just,
Off beat.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Okay, roll me one more.
I'm really enjoying it.
You're definitely not getting your 5,000 gold now.
Natty 20.
Yeah, we are.
I love the
These are the
maracas
greatest
sound
maracas in the world.
He's bringing it back.
While you're playing, suddenly a girdle hits you in the face. People are throwing their clothes at the stage. And everyone
He missed his calling. This was it.
pulls out, like, it's really tiny. They look like matchsticks, but they're actually like oil torches, and they're just holding them in the air. They're all lit up. Everyone's just entranced.
He starts playing the drums with the maracas.
All right, one more. That's a bold choice.
He's really into it, man. He just keeps pushing the line. 16.
For some reason, it works. And Brenna,
It shouldn't work.
Brenna
but
makes
it
the face
does.
she's making right now. Utter disappointment and discontent.
Brenna has never not been the best at this. And so she actually hates Grayek right now.
Akio is standing in the back, still invisible, single tear. I cry every time.
Oh gosh, Los Bandidos Metallicos.
My gosh, the oh.
That was like the weirdest, most guttural sound. I don't know where that came from. It was the moment. That's pure RP right there. That's like it's some birthed emotion that comes forth in the moment, and for no reason it doesn't make sense, but it just feels right.
I do not remember the story around that season, but I remember those episodes, and I remember them being just a blast at the table.
That was right after we met Milo, because you guys just sailed back to land after being on the murder mystery, which is where Milo got introduced. You guys specifically went into this. It's like a really fancy subdivision, because it was like gated. It was a gated community, and so you had to sneak in, and you had to pose as the mariachi band for this kid's birthday party.
Didn't we pay off a mariachi band that was on their way?
Yeah, they were like walking in with their instruments, and you guys had to pay them off and snuck in. And the whole time you were in there, you were trying to figure out who actually murdered Captain Jax.
That's
and,
right. That's right.
And you I don't think you ever officially did figure it out.
we
but there
got
were some
really
clues.
close.
You got really close, but you
Really
never
close.
could like connect the dots. And I think even as players, you guys may have known who did
Yeah.
it, but as characters, you couldn't like
Uh-huh.
make that. You couldn't connect it. So
Uh-huh.
that was. Yeah, you had to give an impromptu birthday performance using like I forget what the cover was. Was it like "Sweet Child of Mine" or something like that? You did like a mariachi metal cover of some song. I still get like
Did I actually like sing it?
I don't think so, but
I was just saying it's what I was doing.
I still get people that link me stuff on Twitter of like they found a YouTube video of people doing like a mariachi version of this metal song, and I forget what it was. It's great, but yeah, really there wasn't any big question there. It was just like, man, this was hilarious, and the roles were perfect, and it was just so like wacky and off the wall, but it all ended up working somehow, which is like my favorite thing about D&D, really, just how you can pull something out of your butt and it just in the moment and that right perfect time it makes total sense and the rolls go your way and you somehow like bluff your way into performing at a kid's birthday party. Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, it's all coming back to me now. Brenna tried performing and did terribly.
Yes.
And so Greg had to step up and he just
Yes.
like crushed it for some reason.
Yeah, my rolls were not good that day.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain during the entire recording of that episode, all I could think about was that one song moment from The Mask.
Oh, Cuban Pete? Boom, kitty, boom.
boom, boom, chicka, boom.
Yeah, dude, Cuban Pete. That's
The rumba beat.
that's for some reason that scene from The Mask is stuck. I mean, I've watched The Mask probably 30 times in my life, and 29 of those 30 were between the ages of like 7 and 10. So I ate that movie up when I was a kid, but it's that scene is forever etched in my brain. And then that one kind of bonehead cop starts dancing, and the other one smacks him, says,
Yes.
"Knock it off! Don't buy into it." Okay, thank you, Applesauce Rex, for that submission. It's like that's the kind of stuff I love listening back to because it's just so weird.
Sounds like you're saying thank you, Apple stores.
Thank you, Apple Stores. Yep.
For sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, guys, let's take a moment here to talk about our sponsor, Apple Stores. Do you guys need a new MacBook Pro? Because you can go to an Apple Store and buy one. Apple Stores.
Also,
Get one
brought
today.
to you by
No.
Bigfoot Pizza.
Bigfoot Pizza from Pizza Hut. Do you still live in 1993? Get yourself a Bigfoot Pizza. Come on, you idiot. Don't you like pizza? That's the tagline.
Reed.
Yeah.
You forgot to mention that if you go to an Apple store to buy a MacBook Pro and you mention us, you can still pay full price for your MacBook
Use
Pro.
promo code SNEAK.
Promo code SNEAK.
To get full
MKBHD wore a
price.
t-shirt.
To get full price, use promo code SNEAK.
Yeah.
Wait, what's his, what, did I say his name right?
MKBHD,
No, I didn't.
yeah. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Shout out to MKBHD. If you're listening, Marquez, the offer still stands. Let's
Because
go.
we mentioned him, can we tag him in the video now? Is that the rules?
Yeah, I mention him on Twitter every time we mention him, so I'm sure he loves it. All right, let's do number 3 there, Dan.
It says if he reduces your hip, oh, I'm so okay. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
You thought it was like an instant
I thought it was an insta kill.
that would be such a terrible way to
my
go.
gosh. Just walked into the wrong closet.
The guy's just like,
Probiscus.
I am using sending to contact Sherwood
It's probably smart.
and tell him go up the stairs straight through that door. Greg is down.
We have to go right now. Up the stairs. Go. We start running. I start running.
Okay.
But the study. No, forget it. Why? Greg's down. Oh, Gary.
I miss the Colonel so much, dude.
The proboscis.
The proboscis, the legend of Ronald was born that day.
Not like this.
The legend of Ronald, catch me outside.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Some of the best fan art we've ever had.
That's true.
From a totally throwaway character from a single episode.
We got that super like hyper erotic version of Ronald. It was like him in a thong speedo or something like that, and all oiled up. Like whoa.
You're welcome for inspiring that erotic picture.
It was. I mean,
Hey, that was
my top notch.
we should have tagged it. Redraw my art.
Should have.
Redraw in your style.
it legitimately the talent involved in that photo, top tier. I mean, that was incredible. That was an incredible piece of illustration. Very erotic.
To quote the
Thirsty
dean for
Ronald.
Community, this better not awaken anything.
That was super. I think we've gotten more fan art over that one character in the entirety of Sneak Attack than anyone else.
Rivals like any of the like the main cast characters.
Yeah.
Fan art.
It's for sure our most illustrated NPC by far, but it probably rivals even some of like the regular like the player characters as well. It was so good. And you know what's funny? I had this written down, but I forgot to reference it when we went through it. Going all the way back to that clip with Amelia. Here's a little like insider, cutting room floor type of thing from that episode. I actually had to re-record all of my audio for that episode because that was the episode where my mic wasn't on.
Oh yeah.
The episode wasn't our third episode also that or like a really early one?
Is
That 13 was that it? I can't remember was it that early?
It was the episode with Amelia. I think it's 57. So we've been doing it for over a year at that point. But I had to come back at a separate occasion and re-record my entire audio And so what I did is I had headphones in, and I was listening to the recording of like someone's mic next to me. And so what I would do is I would hear myself say it just faintly getting picked up by their mic, and then I would say it out loud, trying in the same meter and pacing and everything.
Oh.
And then Josh took mine and just like scooted it forward and tried to overlap it. I cannot imagine how difficult that was for Josh, because I know how difficult it was for me to try and do like a live reenactment of my own recording. That was tough.
Life seemed simpler back then in my head. Like,
Really? That was simpler?
I was really life in general. I was really okay devoting like tons of time into editing. It was like you know what I mean? Like there was just
it's because you didn't have a hormonal pregnant wife. It was easier.
I mean, there are fewer things on that side of the scale.
Yeah.
Back then, sure. But it's like I think back to that time and I think like, how did we have listeners at all? You know what I mean? Because like it seems like everything was done so, I don't want to call it amateurish, because we really tried very hard. All of us tried very hard to make it as like good and professional and well produced as possible. But I just think like, man, like forgetting to turn on your microphone, that's a amateur hour move right there. And it was me. It was no one else. It was me who did it. I didn't even catch it in the meters. I was just like, it was wild. I don't know how we did that, but we somehow, like, no one could tell. Literally no one could tell that we went back and like did ADR on it.
There was 1 or 2 moments where I could barely hear your echo in the edit, and I remember being like, I don't think I can fix that. I just had to go with it. Do you remember the at time we lost an episode? Like it was a total fluke.
Yep.
But it was like the whole episode audio was completely gone. However, it was during the season. It was during the season while we were filming some of our episodes to potentially use them for video after we had started the Patreon. And so I had audio from the cameras. And so it's our worst sounding episode, but we never lost it. That was like such a victory, even though it was a...
And that's like the weirdest thing, because man, we had, I've thought about this numerous times, and I cannot fathom the process that caused this error to occur. Because at the end of every recording, I export every single audio track, all 5 of them, because there's 5 individual lines. I export every line as its own wave file. And so I did that at the end of episode 1, and then I did that at the end of episode 2. But for somehow, and I cannot fathom this, it duplicated it. So when we made episode, like when we rendered out the second episode, it overwrote our first ones, but it kept the file names intact. So we had 2 copies of the same episode and no copies of the other one.
You'd expect it to work in reverse, like you'd accidentally save over an earlier one, but
right.
Yeah.
But that's impossible, because the fact that we export the audio after each episode and not at the end of the whole session.
Yep.
I remember the phone call. Josh explained to me. I said, that makes no sense. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And sure enough, it is what it is. And I can very thankful that Josh was able to work his magic and get the audio off the cameras. And we know like that was a huge win. There's like 3 or 4 of those moments throughout all of volume 1 where it's just like, I don't know how this is going to come together. We have really no way of salvaging this, but then somehow Josh does a narration of a story he wrote, or is able to salvage from the camera, or I have to do ADR or something like that. It's very strange, but again, we're scrappy. We're scrappy.
3 years, and we didn't miss a single week. We released every single week for 3 years.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
That's insane. Probably, like, I know the 3 years sucked in points, but probably like my proudest achievement creatively is like executing the way we did as a group for those 3 years. Just, pretty unrivaled stuff. I'm very happy with that. So we got time for a couple more here. Dan, go ahead and hit us with number 4.
Akio.
No. 5.
2 failed saving throws.
Oh gosh, this doesn't end soon.
Brenna.
Okay.
The finish line is nigh.
Yeah.
Oh. Here comes the rain.
Wow.
That's a lot
Here
of
it comes.
dice.
Here it comes.
That's like a reed dice roll.
There's a lot of dice, guys.
16, 17 damage.
What she's going to do with that is wrap herself up inside what's left of her body and scream out in horrible, terrifying pain while she does it, as her spirit literally gets absorbed from the inside out, and she disappears into a burst of blue light that fills the room before slowly
Really honoring Akio's
disappearing.
death in
Bye,
that moment.
Felicia.
And you're the one.
I had one more roll.
Here you go.
It's fine.
And,
We're out of combat. Does someone want to revive Akio?
No, I just want to know, did I have one more?
And-
No.
And Greg?
Continuing in the order, Greg and Sherwood would get to go. So would one of you... Oh, Greg has to roll, I guess.
I just roll 1.
Unless Sherwood wants to... No, he can't yet.
I got to at least roll 1.
Yeah, you got to roll 1.
Yeah, it's a fail.
Okay. Greg's up 1, down 1. Sherwood, you
No.
can... What?
You're not going to sustain either of them?
Greg, yes.
Yes.
And I had one more roll to see if I lived or died.
That is something I have not thought about for a very long time.
I forgot.
Yeah. So, before we move on, the proboscis clip that was from Apertix Warrior. Thank you, Warrior, for that submission. I appreciate you. This submission was from Ruben Bergman. I 100% forgot that Sherwood chose to effectively let Akio die. Because when I think back to Akio dying, I think back to me like trolling my own rules about having Akio go down at the whale. And even though we rolled a nat 20. And so,
Right.
And of course I just remember Akio dying and like Alfredo flapping around in like after he died. But I totally forgot that it was Mike who pulled the trigger effectively.
Classic. It's a classic Mike move.
I had 2 rolls left, right?
Yeah,
Like it's like
you
I was
were-
only in danger of rolling a critical fail.
You hadn't had any failed saving throws yet. You had 1 success. And so but Sherwood still chose to save you instead, which I think is only fitting that his fate ended up being what it was, because that guy.
Before that,
Well,
do you remember Sherwood and Akio had beef before that?
he pushed him off an
Akio-
eagle.
Yeah, Akio had just kind of outed himself as a necromancer.
Right. Oh yeah.
So that was
As dabbling, not like full on.
Yeah, but why did Sherwood have such a big deal with the necromancy thing? That was a you thing, wasn't it?
No,
That
it was
Greg
both.
thing.
It was both.
it was Sherwood had a more extreme reaction to it than Greg did, but neither of them liked it.
Sherwood is a druid. I mean, he's all about life and preserving nature.
Yes.
And so necromancy flies fully in the face of that idea of
You're
natural order, natural law. And yeah, so I think Sherwood was right in the grip of like, if this is a path he's going to go down, I'm going to prevent him from going down it in the most extreme way possible. That was
And yet he's still the most beloved.
oh yeah,
I don't like. Do we
I know.
just decide to not recognize these large character flaws? Did you ask him to not come tonight so that we could unpack this?
He said he had a lot of work to do. So,
Oh, is he busy unpacking all of this?
yeah.
Is he busy stabbing another friend in the back? Is it? No, Dan, do you think it's interesting that in all the games that we've played together, that's the second character he's legitimately just decided would die of yours?
Do I think it's interesting? I certainly don't think it's coincidental.
I mean, to be fair, the first character Dan ever made was killed by you, Josh.
Yes, but that was very honest. I was very straightforward about it.
Wasn't
I think
you stole your book and you're like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to just say what needs to be said. Mike, aware of it or not, hates the way that Danny plays D&D.
I think Mike would say that. Like, I think he would have no problem in saying that.
How much longer until Chip decides to start having serious beef with Ethan Cole?
Ooh. Well, thankfully, Lucky, you're doing a pretty good job of keeping his beef centered at you right now. So,
Oh no!
yeah, I mean, like, let this be an omen. You know, like, all Mike really has to do is be like, hey, look, guy, I've got all this history of what I do to characters I don't like.
That's it.
So if you want to keep your character around, just, I'd divert from the path you're on.
He's gonna choose to save Danny's character and let mine die, and it'll be like a healing moment for their friendship.
I feel like Reed's the dungeon master and Mike's the puppet master. Like he decides he doesn't like Danny's character, so he finds a reason to kill him. He decides my character needs more depth, so he kills her dad. He decides Josh is annoying, so he just treats him like crap the whole time. We're like, Josh, ham it up. So he just pokes and pokes and pokes until Josh is the weirdest person on cast.
Yeah.
He's the puppet master.
But Mike is still charming, so we just go along with it.
That's it.
Shout out to Mike.
Knowing that.
Okay. Let's end with what I think is quite possibly one of the funniest moments in Sneak Attack history. Let's do audio number 5 there, Dan.
I go, hi, James.
Oh, he doesn't respond.
I try
But
and start a conversation, but
yeah.
I'm really bad with men.
You're gonna get one chance to escape. Otherwise, you're gonna get tied up.
Okay.
You'll need to beat 15.
It's a 17.
Okay, you can get to your feet and
Kick James in the nuts.
okay, roll it.
That'd be 19.
Okay.
Wow.
Roll me a d4 for testicle damage.
It's just one.
Doesn't matter. Every testicle hit is a critical hit. So.
Roll a d4 for testicle damage.
I love the line that says every testicle hit is a critical hit. I think that's probably the best thing I've ever said on this show. Again, that's a moment I didn't even remember before listening to it in the submission. It's these.
Do you guys remember bottom tonsils?
Oh, I remember bottom tonsil.
How could we forget bottom tonsil?
I had multiple people text me the day that episode released, and just like with the word bottom tonsil.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. I can go back to any episode we've done, and there's just always these one or two little throwaway lines that are just so perfect, and these moments that don't lend anything to the greater like story arc or character development or anything, but they're just like these tiny little in a vacuum, self-contained moments where Brenda decides to kick James in the nuts, and it's so great and it's so unexpected. But we get to look back on it and just like laugh because it made no larger difference, but man, so we quickly forget about it, but it's so good. And it's so true for the moment too. Like you're getting captured by this guy you hate, and he bested you this round. So what do? I kick him in the nuts. It's just so perfect. Well, I think we're right at an hour, if not exactly at an hour. So just want to say thank you to the cast for setting aside an hour of your day. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you to all of our listeners for submitting these amazing little moments of Sneak Attack Past that we can go through and just laugh at again. Like we were saying earlier, it's tough not being able to go anywhere. Haven't been to a movie in like 3 months, and it just pains my soul. And I hope that this content provides a little bit of reprieve and helps you just helps make quarantine life or isolation a little bit more tolerable. So thank you to all of our listeners for submitting questions. Thank you to all of our patrons on patreon.com who have continued to support the show and invest in the show and say that the stuff we're doing outside of weekly serialized content is still worth it to you guys. So if you're not a patron, head on over to patreon.com/sneak. There's a lot of really cool content there. And in my opinion, we're working on something pretty cool for one of our tiers coming up. And I legitimately think it could be like the coolest thing we've done in terms of like merchandise or like things that we offer out to people. So I'm not gonna say any more than that because we don't have all the T's crossed and I's dotted yet, but something's in the works. I'm really excited about it, and I hope that it comes to fruition. But just go check it out. There's a lot of awesome ways to engage with us outside of these quarantine content episodes or when we're able to record regular episodes again. Things like bonus podcasts or live stream Q&As, custom art. You can play D&D with me. There's DM notes, and everyone, regardless of tier or financial contribution, gets a thank you on our official Sneak Attack website, sneakpodcast.com. So again, appreciate you all. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for the time you commit to this. It does not go unnoticed. So that's going to do it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good next couple weeks. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Smart hands.